Some people start their week with coffee. Ale starts hers with ghosts, mysteries, and things that go bump in the night. Welcome to Macabre Mondays, the podcast where mysteries meet the macabre. Join Alejandra, a lifelong storyteller with a passion for the strange and spooky, as she shares chilling tales with her husband Tom, who's hearing them for the very first time. It's part marriage, part mayhem, and all mystery. Your weekly escape into haunted history, unsolved oddities, and the darker corners of life. New episodes drop every Monday, so ditch the morning blues and press play on something a little more macabre. Listen to Macabre Mondays wherever you get your podcasts. Canadian Creepies is recorded on the traditional lands of the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe peoples, under the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. These lands and waters have been cared for since long before Canada existed, and they remain deeply important to Indigenous communities today. As we tell stories about darkness, injustice, and memory, I want to acknowledge the very real histories of colonization, violence, and erasure that Indigenous peoples continue to endure. A land acknowledgement can't undo that harm, but it is a reminder to keep listening, learning, and supporting in truth and reconciliation in meaningful ways. We share these stories not to forget, but to shine light, always with respect for peoples and nations whose land we live on. Canadian Creepies covers true crime, dark history, and disturbing events. Some episodes may include graphic descriptions or sensitive subject matter. We do our best to handle every story with care and respect for those affected. That said, we sometimes use humor and sarcasm as a way to process heavy content, never to disrespect victims, survivors, or their families. Listener discretion is advised. Hello and welcome to another episode of Canadian Creepies. I'm your co-host Valerie.
And I'm your co-host Amanda Joy.
Welcome along for the ride that is the Barbara Stoppel case.
It's been a journey.
This is part 5 that we are recording. And we know that because we're organized.
Finally.
That's how we know.
Yeah.
That's how we know. And I think we're just going to hop right into it.
I dig. There's a lot of information.
So we left off with the interview with Thomas Sofenow.
Yes.
Should I start?
Yeah, go
Okay.
for it.
It's tradition. One day we'll start with you, and then we'll win the lottery or something. Okay, we're going right into it. Here we go. The team of investigators reviewing the team, Vogel, Legge, and Andrew the author, met Sofenow and his lawyer at a hotel conference room in Vancouver. Andrew and Vogan sat on one side of the table, Sofenow and his lawyer across from them. I remember there was all these conditions to this interview as well.
Yes.
Like Legge was not allowed to, Ken was not allowed to attend. Or was it Legge?
No, I think it was Legge.
It was Legge.
It was Legge. Yeah. Biener is under Biener,
Ken.
Bieber,
Calling him
Ken.
Ken. Yeah.
He's under investigation because he stole a bunch of stuff from the original investigation.
Right. He stole a bunch of stuff from the literal crime scene,
including her bra and underwear.
And a mucus-filled Kleenex
that supposedly belonged
to
the original or the actual killer.
Literally disgusting.
What a gross human being you have to be.
Why do... what would you do? Would you put that in a shadow box and hang it on your wall?
Gross. Explain that to your wife. Whose random bra and panties is this hanging in our living room above our mantle?
I know. Well, it's like in these days, back in the 80s, wives didn't have much say.
This is true.
You know?
This is
they
true.
Just kind of had to put up with it. Now we're like, we have credit cards and...
we're allowed to get a mortgage.
We have credit cards and our own educations. Watch out. Still a lot of... feminism is still needed. Thank you. Andrew and Vogan sat on one side of the table, Sofenow and his lawyer across from them. The crown assigned to review was Rick Saul, and he was also present. Legge watched the interview from a monitor room that was set up. He just shouldn't have even been there.
No,
why
he
even bring him?
Yeah.
Why even bring him?
He's, yeah.
That's shady. I don't like that. Why even bring him? Anyway. The interview began easy enough as the questions were already written down. This was not the way investigators are taught to conduct an interview. Most of the questions were clarifying in nature, since they had a good grasp on the events of the case already. For Sofanow, this was a moment he had yearned for. He was telling his story once again, but this time to police that were on his side.
And weren't lying to him about where his fingerprints were.
Yeah, except I really don't like Leggy just like being up there.
Hanging out there, especially
so
when
weird.
He was specifically asked to not be included. Yeah.
So he just should not be included.
He shouldn't have been in Vancouver.
No.
Just go home.
Just go home. Don't even worry about it. Take the weekend off.
Yeah.
You know?
Take the kids fishing.
Yeah.
Touch grass.
Yeah. The interview lasted about 4 hours. They reviewed his alibi and the conditions during his initial police contact. It became evident that his initial interview with Detective Barnard was anything but verbatim, and although he signed the statement, he did not read it. Sofanow became emotional during several segments of the interview, but none so much as when he described Sergeants Polishin and Warwick's interrogation. There was no deceit in what this man was telling them, just a feeling of torture from what he felt he endured. He mentioned one of them motioning in front of his face, and they asked him to elaborate. What does that mean? He mentioned one of them motioning in front of his face, like just like moving something in front of his face.
I think this is a reference back to when he was first interviewed. They kept doing, because the guy had locked the door.
Right, and he kept doing the locking motion.
Yeah, they kept making that locking motion.
Thank you. Tears filled his eyes as he sprung to his feet and reached over the table and stuck his right hand in front of Andrew's face, moving it in a twisting motion over and over like this, he shouted, like you just said.
Yeah.
Sofanow was overcome with emotion. Investigators placed an aerial map of Winnipeg on the table and asked Sofanow why he said he was in the Ideal Donut Shop. This was met with another emotional response. He looked at the area of the donut shop and shouted, "I said I was there and there and there and there," pointing to locations all over the map. At the conclusion of the interview, Sofanow seemed to have shed a large weight off his shoulders and appeared calmer. They requested a DNA sample, and he, of course, complied. Andrew spoke to Rick, Barb's brother. He had a right to know the truth and a right to know the name of the killer. In fact, little did he know the killer's name was written on a piece of paper in his mother's possessions and had been there for all of these years. The last thing this family needed was deception from the police, especially from the police. So investigators made sure they knew the truth. They would not be kept in the dark. They let him know that Sofanow would soon be formally and publicly exonerated.
Good.
Yes.
Finally.
Right?
15 years in the making.
Here we go. He quietly accepted the news and wondered to himself where all this would lead. Investigators had arranged to interview Beth Peterson, who was Sofanow's girlfriend at the time of the murder. There had been suggestions made that Sofanow was incensed at not being allowed to see his daughter, which sent him into a rage resulting in Barb's death. Peterson recalled that Sofanow was not happy that he could not see his daughter in Winnipeg, but was far more depressed than enraged. In fact, she remembered him taking a toy dog out of his bag and doing a ventriloquist act. She described him as being a gentle man and at no time saw him lose his temper or become violent. One point that did stick out in her mind was when the police executed a search warrant at his house. After the search, she noticed that some of her panties were missing.
That's just gross.
I hate that. It's like, okay. When she addressed this with one Winnipeg officer, she was told, "I guess we're just kinky." She was never formally interviewed. I hate that.
That's disgusting.
That's the worst. That's the fucking worst. That's the absolute worst. The investigative team was now joined by two Winnipeg homicide detectives, Murray Allen and Paul Brown. Both of them were more than competent and each had a strong desire to keep Arnold behind bars. One of the roles for Leggy, should not have been involved, and Andrew the author, was to update and educate them on the investigation so they could best interview Arnold. On February 14th, Murray Allen and Andrew flew to Toronto to meet again with Paul Bennett. They required photocopies of all pertinent information concerning Sofanow's alibis and his correspondence with his lawyers from all three trials. Much of the information confirmed the timing of his alibi. Here we go, Sofanow. Methodically, they went through each box until suddenly stopping. They couldn't believe what they had found. They came across the names of 2 witnesses, Hazel Barton and her friend Claudette Fontaine. They saw Arnold in the Ideal Donut Shop on the day of the murder, bothering a waitress. They knew it was Arnold because Barton lived in the same apartment on Cromwell. They now had a signed statement that Arnold was in the donut shop on the day of the murder between 3 and 3:30 p.m.
Are you kidding me?
Wearing a cowboy hat, glasses, cowboy boots, and a short jacket.
Seriously?
Unfortunately, both were now dead.
Oh.
Fuck. More intrigue. I'm going to keep going. More intriguingly, they learned that Barton was subpoenaed to testify for the defense at Sofenau's 3rd trial in 1985. She sat waiting in the hallway of the courthouse, and for some reason, she was never called to the stand.
Oh.
This revelation would soon give a possible explanation for an alarming discovery in the Crown's file of the case. They also found a confirmation that Arnold was in the Winnipeg Remand Center at the same time as Sofenau. He wanted to give police a statement that Sofenau told him he was the killer.
Oh.
Whoa. In return, Arnold would get an early release. Okay, so wait, Arnold was gonna...
Say that Sofenau was the killer, yeah.
Oh, Terry Arnold, you are just a no good Nick.
Yeah.
You're no good. He wanted to give police a statement that Sofenau told him he was the killer. In return, Arnold would get an early release, as I said. He claimed that when he asked Sofenau if he did the murder, he responded, "Of course I did it, and if you don't get off my back, you're going to get it too." Can you imagine the tragic irony if police actually use this for court? The real killer implicates an innocent man. Wow.
That is bold.
Yes, super bold. On the second day reviewing the material, Bennett candidly asked Andrew to speak with Sofenau's common-law wife, Rebecca, on speakerphone. He wanted Andrew to tell her that Sofenau was being cooperative and that he was not a suspect anymore.
This guy just had women all over the place, eh?
Yes. It seemed like an odd request, but he agreed. Like everything in this story, there had to be a twist. He would learn it 17 years later. A few days later, the results from RCMP Crime Lab arrived with the following conclusions. Exhibit 16-6, the stain on Stoppel's pants, is of mixed origin. The major component matches the profile obtained from the known sample, Exhibit 24, who is Stoppel. The estimated probability of selecting an unrelated individual at random from the Canadian Caucasian population with a matching profile is 1 in 18 trillion. The very minor component of this mixture is an unidentified male source. The donors of known samples, exhibits V1, Robert, and V2, Sofenau, are not the source of the male DNA from Exhibit 16-6. Keep in mind this is the only real DNA they have from the crime scene, and it does not have to belong to the killer. It could have come from hospital staff, ambulance attendants, etc. And as investigators were soon to find out, they weren't even Barb's pants.
They really messed everything.
Not even Barb's
up.
pants. Just a pair of pants.
So whose pants were they? Because they had Barbara's DNA on them. Probably.
Maybe a friend's?
Maybe Arnold's?
Arnold's pants, yeah.
Could be.
Okay, the Calgary warrant. Birch, or do you want to do this?
Doesn't matter to me.
You know what? Why don't... Let me scroll. Why don't you do it?
Okay.
You do it.
So this is about the Calgary warrant. Birchill and Andrew, the author, went to the law courts building in Winnipeg and presented Judge Copstein, or Copstein?
Yeah, either
or, with the completed warrant. The contents of the warrant detailed why they believed Arnold was guilty of murder. Copstein only needed an hour to review and sign it. Now they had the authority to enter and search Donna Bortret's, that's Terry's mother, her trailer in Calgary.
I think it's Copstein.
Copstein?
Yeah.
We'll go with Copstein.
Yeah.
The warrant allowed them to seize anything that they deemed important in building a case against him. The day before they executed the warrant, Detectives Brown and Allen went to Mission Correctional Institute to see Arnold. The interview was to be recorded and also informal.
Right.
True to form, Arnold would admit nothing and talked in circles.
Yes.
I'm not surprised. It's interesting to note that he lied about everything. He denied liking coffee, having a cowboy hat, making any tips in the case, and even denied knowing Barb. He claimed that he might have gone to the Ideal Donut Shop, but never at night, and for some reason initially denied ever working at the Red River exhibition, which is where we know he knows Barb from.
Yes.
When Brown and Allen forced the issue and proved that he did work at the Red River exhibition in the summer of 1981, he stated, quote, "I don't work the game booth or anything." Doesn't matter. You still worked there.
You still worked there at the same time as her.
You still lied about it.
Yes.
Interesting, they hadn't told him that Barb had worked at the game booths.
Seems like you knew something.
Interesting.
Wow.
Way to rat yourself out.
Yep.
Liggy and Andrew drove to the trailer park just before noon that day. The trailer was run down and looked like it could have been a low-budget horror movie. Oh. Christine, I love you. Thank you for that description. They walked in front and knocked on the dented door. As soon as it opened, there stood the monster's birth mother. Christine is on with this one.
Yeah. Well, this could be from Stoppel, though.
Oh,
it could
that
be
could
Andrew.
be.
Oh, and hold on.
There are a couple of other different references that we are using.
I forgot to even say the references. Just in case you haven't tuned in for the other episodes and you've hung on this long for this episode, not knowing what we're talking about, and you'll go back later, I guess. That's on you. But I'm going to tell you the references that Christine, and this episode is researched by Christine.
She's our rock star.
She is our rock star researcher. And our references are Stoppel the book, written by Andrew, the author. Archived news releases from the province of Manitoba, CBC News, wrongfulconvictions.ca, the Canadian Encyclopedia, Corey Wise Innocence Project, the University of Colorado Boulder, Supreme Court of Canada, and CBC News.
There you go.
Thank you. Sorry.
So they knock on the door, and Donna, Terry Arnold's birth mother, answers the door. She was a frail elderly woman with gray matted hair. The one thing that was striking about her was her eyes. Behind her glasses, those eyes were constantly dilating and constricting.
Oh, she was traumatized.
I mean, if he did all of these things to random people...
What did he do to her?
Yeah. They told her that they were...
her voice was...
Oh, sorry, yes.
Okay.
Her voice was...
Sorry.
Her voice was coarse, raspy, and void of any emotion when she asked what they wanted. They told her that they were investigating her son for the murder of Barbara Stoppel and gave her a copy of the warrant. They then explained that they were going to be going through Arnold's property and possibly making some seizures.
Okay.
Terry has nothing here. That's my voice for Donna. That's my Calgary
Terry
monster birth mother voice.
Yes.
There is nothing here. It was all stolen in the Maritimes.
Oh, when he lived out there, he's claiming all his shit was stolen. Gotcha.
What a perfect way to make a first impression. I guess so. As she said those words, investigators just happened to be looking at dozens of large cardboard boxes on the porch. In bold black letters, it clearly said the most of it had. There was labels on the boxes that all said Terry Arnold's property.
Yeah, right behind her.
Like they're right beside her as she's like, none of his stuff is here.
Yeah, it was all stolen.
Like, if you're gonna lie well.
Girlfriend.
They seized...
It's almost like she was like pointing behind her. I'm like, none of his stuff, it was all stolen in the Maritimes.
She's wink, wink, hint, hint.
Yeah, right?
Like, Jesus. So they seized the assorted items, including typewritten one-page article called The Greeks, which was signed by Terry Arnold April 7th, 1993.
He was just a short story guy.
Apparently.
Okay. An artiste.
An author.
Yes.
Included in the article was a foreboding motto: if you can't fuck it, then kill it.
That's a wild motto to have. That's very extreme, violent.
Who says stuff like that?
Yeah, I don't know. Terry Arnold.
Terry Arnold.
TA.
And he is not well, as we've established.
Not a well man. Not a sane person.
And that motto does pretty sum up the way that he lived.
Yes.
The seizures provided little in the way of incriminating evidence against Arnold for any of the murders that they were investigating. However, they did provide investigators with a valuable insight into his mind.
Ugh.
Andrew met again with the Stoppels and showed Muriel a photo pack of 10 people, including Arnold. She was unable to identify him. The next day, on March 29th, Andrew received a phone call from Rick Stoppel. That's Barb's brother.
Yes.
He told him that after their meeting, he drove to his mother's home.
Barb's brother?
Yeah. Her dad is dead.
Barb's brother. I was thinking Muriel's brother.
Yeah, no, Barb's brother.
That doesn't make sense. Barb's brother. Okay, gotcha. Listeners are like, are you okay? I'm fine. Are you?
Listen, this has been a long, there's a lot of information.
There's a lot of info.
There's a lot of players.
This is the most in-depth case we have ever done.
And there's a lot of people involved, like the list of witnesses alone.
And this has spanned years now.
15
years, and we're hopping in and out of timelines. And okay, please continue.
So Rick calls Andrew, and he told him that after their meeting, he drove to his mother's home, and they looked through her documents and the funeral logs that investigators had requested. While going through a box containing cards and regrets from the time of her murder, Rick located a piece of lined paper with the following writing. Terry Arnold, 925 Cromwell Street, 237, 5473, Miss Donna, Barbie mother.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That's wild.
After all these years.
They do say like serial killers, more like I guess arsonists is a better example. Like if that most arson investigators will look into the crowd because people like to see what they've done.
Yeah. Look at the reaction they get. There's something they get out of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like a dopamine thing.
Which is weird.
Pyros.
But we do know that he also called the donut shop while they were there carrying her body out.
Yes.
He showed up at the hospital.
Yeah.
He's been
so weird.
He's been inserting himself into every piece of this investigation.
Yes.
Weirdo. After all these years, she still had the killer's note in her possession. The note was sent together with known handwriting samples of Arnold for analysis. It was determined that the writing on the small note was not his. It appeared to be a female's writing. Quite possibly, it was written from one of the nurses at the hospital.
Oh.
At the request of the Winnipeg Police Executive, thank you. Investigators contacted Agent Mary Dyson of the FBI in Quantico, Virginia.
Okay.
You're now getting the FBI involved?
Yeah,
it's been 15
it's an
years.
International case. Okay.
She was provided with a general background of the case, and she agreed that Arnold presented himself as a classic psychopath.
Yes.
I mean,
straight up.
The main reason for contacting the FBI was to gain insight into the interrogation techniques that would be successful in this type of offender. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Dyson said that they would not have concrete steps for investigating psychopaths since no two were alike. I mean, I understand that, I guess. Yeah, that makes sense. One of the key points raised by Dyson was that and one that was shared by our investigative unit from the onset was how Arnold would benefit from confessing to the murder. So they have to make it seem like he'll get something out of it.
Yeah.
Which is
a deal. They have to try and make him a fucking deal.
Gross. He initiated an appeal and had started a jailhouse romance with a woman named Darlene in Newmarket, Ontario. Dude.
Stop.
Dude.
He would have a jailhouse romance with a woman named Darlene.
He would. He hoped that he would win.
I know lovely women named Darlene, just for the record. Love you all. Okay.
He hoped that he would win the appeal and that they would soon get married. Girl, run.
Yeah.
Run,
and you're not getting the appeal, you psycho.
There were important factors in his life, and while they remained, he had vested interest in presenting himself as the victim and not the offender. So that was going to be a hard sell to try and make him benefit from admitting to this murder.
Yes.
Dyson recommended amassing an army against Arnold and taking as much time as necessary to build the strongest case against him. He should be overwhelmed with his past criminal history. That's a good technique. I like that.
Yeah, me too.
She also agreed that a good approach would be to present his guilt in the case as given. Then focus should be placed on the reason behind his offenses using techniques of diminished responsibility. She also maintained that psychopaths are not alike. Approaches used successfully in the past are not working today, even on younger offenders who she stated just don't care.
A lot of apathy.
It was agreed to send her all of the permanent information, including taped interviews and the crime scene photos. She would then go through the file with other profilers and enter his information into their system since Arnold had spent time living in the United States. She agreed to come to Winnipeg for a meeting later in the summer. In April, Legge and Andrew flew to Toronto.
He just shouldn't be on this case.
No.
Get off the case.
Sofano specifically has asked him to...
Yeah.
And he was not, I don't know, maybe he's trying to make amends for all of the shit that he did wrong.
Doesn't matter,
but
you do it differently.
I have no confidence in you anymore, and neither should anybody else involved in this case. But I guess he was considered the lead detective. So
Whatever.
I guess
it's like, let me make it right. I'm like, no, just don't.
A means to an end. I don't know. But anyways, they fly to Toronto with the purpose. There were two purposes to this trip. One was to alert Arnold's girlfriend and expose him for what he was, a cold-blooded psychopathic killer and not a wrongful convicted man as he was suggesting. And the second was to obtain more background information on Arnold from his natural father, Sam, in St. Catharines. Investigators contacted Sam by phone and appraised him. They let him know of the murder that they were investigating involving his son. He was very cooperative and agreed to meet with them, stating that, I won't hide anything. That bastard broke into my house twice.
Right on.
I'm not surprised by that either.
No.
That evening, investigators went to Darlene's house. She was initially reluctant to meet with them, but she eventually agreed. They presented an in-depth analysis of Arnold's criminal background and the danger that he possessed to children and women. After meeting for several hours, she was convinced that Arnold was not only guilty, but was also a danger to those around her. I'm glad she reached that conclusion.
Glad. Good for her. You go, Darlene. Proud of you.
Right? Save yourself. Run.
Yes, run. Girl. Run, girl.
She was very cooperative and gave the team several letters for him that would later prove enlightening.
Oh, good.
The next day, Legge and Andrew managed to locate Sam Arnold at his home in St. Catharines, and he was extremely cooperative and volunteered useful background information on his son. Prior to leaving, Andrew asked Sam one final question. Terry told Calgary investigators that he was well endowed. Oh yeah, he did say that.
Yes, he did.
What can you tell me about the size of Terry's penis? Could you imagine someone asking? It's a murder investigation.
And also, what can you tell me about the size of your son's dick?
Right.
What do you know about it? Have you seen it?
The answer is even better. It was a puny thing. He said, his dad responded very quickly, it was a puny thing. Hell, if you didn't tie a string to it, you wouldn't know it was there.
That's so funny.
Oh, that's amazing.
Okay, Sam Arnold.
Go off, King.
Didn't I say in the last episode, I said he had a micro penis?
Yeah, you did. You called it. Mm-hmm. On April 12th, Andrew contacted Arnold's former girlfriend, Victoria Spaskowski in Calgary, Alberta, and he told her that Arnold was in jail in Mission, BC for the murder of a young girl and about his team that was investigating Arnold's background. She was also very cooperative and reiterated much of what she could tell him the weeks earlier, like what she had already told them, what she had already given them. She remembered that Arnold did in fact work at the Red River exhibition and used to wear a cowboy hat all the time. He also wore a knife and proudly had it in his belt. He was very coy with it because he believed the police could not take it from him because it was under 6 inches.
What a loser.
Much.
It's like, no, I know how to tell if it's a cop because they got to identify themselves. It's like that logic.
Yeah.
You know?
You got to tell me if you're a
you
cop.
gotta tell me if you're a cop, bro.
You got to tell me.
They don't have to tell you.
They don't.
They don't.
They don't.
What do you think undercover investigation is?
Right.
You think they're just like, you got me.
The jig is up.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. So weeks later, Andrew would travel back to Calgary and obtain a formal written statement from her confirming everything that she had provided over the phone. At the conclusion of their interview, he asked her one more question. Terry told Calgary investigators that he was well endowed. What would you say about that? She laughed and she said he had a peanut dick.
Stop it. Stop it. Am I a fortune teller? This guy is the smallest dick in the world.
Oh, that's so funny. It remains to be seen what value this information would have when Arnold was confronted with it. I can't believe
that is good information. But like your dad and your girlfriend, you said you had a huge dick. Here's the thing, buddy. You said you had a huge dick. But I talked to your dad and I talked to your girlfriend and they both said you have a tiny dick.
Yeah, you're working with like 2 inches, buddy. Like what's going on there? Not even. 2 centimeters. What you got?
But also I don't want to body shame anyone. If you have a very small penis,
if you're a murderer,
listening to this, we love you and accept you for who you are. And I bet you know many ways to pleasure your partner.
Arnold doesn't seem like a guy who would care. He doesn't care what his partner's in on.
No, not him. I'm speaking about the listener who's
I know.
offended.
I'm pointing out the difference.
Gotcha. Yes. Yeah. Arnold doesn't understand.
Arnold doesn't care.
You know what? Why don't we move on?
I dig it.
Okay.
I dig it. Let's get into the next little bit of this interview.
So let's talk about what they did with the evidence. Managing this investigation quickly became a juggling act for investigators. As they were trying to build a case against one man and exonerate another, they had the ugly issue of trying to find the missing exhibits. Arnold had a great advantage over them. They had systematically eliminated all of the eyewitnesses from being able to identify anyone for the murder. As for forensics, investigators were about to get the most damaging revelation of the case so far. On November 24th, as you recall, if you do recall, let's hop back to November 24th, 1999. Vaughan, Legge, and Andrew met with retired Inspector Ken, who many referred to as the lead investigator. He indicated that he kept trophies from this case that he felt he deserved, but would not be of interest to the review.
I'm sorry, a rape victim's underwear is something that needs to be
interest to the review.
Are you kidding me? I think that's very interesting to the case.
Very interesting to the case.
And you have no right to take any woman's underwear. What the fuck is wrong with you?
He agreed to review his notes and forward anything that could be of use to the investigation. Then they discovered that they were missing the tips log and several exhibits and learned that Ken had destroyed 3 of the boxes of items from the case.
Well, that's because he had his own motive. He wanted Stoppel. Or not Stoppel. He wanted Safano as the murderer.
He was protecting himself.
Yeah. He didn't want to fess up that he did wrong.
Did wrong. Months went by, and still investigators had not heard back from him. Logically, investigators knew the importance of getting a search warrant. They were missing exhibits. Ken had signed exhibits out, and he told everyone that he had kept trophies. It was that simple. To make matters more compelling, Andrew learned that on February 18th, 2000, Burchill received instructions from Vaughan to pick up exhibits from the case at Ken's residence. Perplexed as to why Ken would have exhibits, Burchill went to his apartment and seized a slide box, RCMP file number 81-1449. This exhibit was the seized samples of Safano's hair. Again, they discussed the merits of obtaining a search warrant.
What an asshole.
Right? It was decided to forward the concerns and recommendations to the Winnipeg police executive. Andrew, the author, felt betrayed in a sense. He had voiced his rationale for getting a warrant for Ken's apartment, which constantly fell on deaf ears. Yet here was his supervisor telling Burchill to pick up exhibits from the murder at a retired officer's residence. It didn't make sense. On October 10th, 2000, Andrew again met with Vaughan and related the following concerns point by point. Number 1, an outside agency looking in would question why they were not getting a search warrant for the residence of Ken. Number 2, why were the exhibits/documents destroyed within 24 hours after the day of the Supreme Court decision? Number 3, Andrew contacted Rick Stoppel on April 7th and updated him on the destroyed exhibits. He felt Ken would never destroy them, but he would more likely take them home. And number 4, if Ken kept Sofano's hair for over 14 years in his apartment, then there was the possibility that other exhibits existed. If they were going to have any chance of prosecuting Arnold, they needed the exhibits.
Vogel, what the fuck are you doing?
I know.
I would be, I agree with Andrew. I would be pissed.
I'd be so mad.
You're supposed to be working with me, not against me.
You're supposed to be working with me, and we are also supposed to be serving justice, not covering each other's and our own asses.
The police departments are notorious for that,
Just
though.
be better. The logic was foolproof. Andrew's relentless request to have a warrant for Ken's residence is well documented throughout the 400 pages of notes he made in their reinvestigation. In fact, on March 26, 2000, he spoke directly with Chief Uwatsky about the issue. We can't do that. He's a retired inspector, he stated. You can do that.
You can.
You can
You
do
can.
that. You absolutely can do that.
He's a disgraced inspector.
100%. And who's that one killer who was also the arsonist in the States?
I can't think of who it was.
Okay, but so he was starting little fires in like Walmarts and things.
Okay.
But he was the lead fire inspector.
Oh, I did hear about that.
But he's also a serial killer. Something strangler, I think.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. I do know that the original, like the Golden State Killer.
That's what I'm talking about. The Golden State Killer.
He was a police officer, I think, actually.
And he was a lead fire. There's like
he's in jail right now, and I don't think he's doing well. Which good fucking die in there.
Okay. So, but it just goes to show. That, it just goes to show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
A few weeks later, Andrew learned that Legge and him would be allowed to interview Ken in an effort to learn the following. Number 1, were all the exhibits destroyed?
Good question.
Number 2, why were the exhibits destroyed within 24 hours of the appeal decision?
Another good question.
Number 3, what was the purpose of keeping Sofano's hair? And number 4, does Ken have any more exhibits? Andrew phoned Ken at home and asked him for an interview, to which he agreed. He also requested that he bring all notebooks pertaining to the case. Knowledge of other exhibits that may be in his possession apart from the hair turned over to Birchill was strongly implied. Ken was hesitant and claimed Birchill took all the exhibits he had and he didn't have any more.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe him.
I don't.
Andrew again pleaded that if he did have any, they needed them for the investigation to continue. He would later accuse Andrew of tricking him over the phone. What a loser.
Dude, you're supposed to believe this hotshot investigator, but you got tricked over the phone by an author?
Yeah.
Come on.
Come on.
That's insulting to you, buddy.
Yeah. Well, I think Andrew's also a cop, too.
Andrew seems smart.
Yes.
Smarter than these guys.
Yes. On May 10th, Legge and Andrew met with Ken at their office. He brought 6 black police notebooks and no exhibits.
Of course.
They reviewed the case with him and emphasized that it was crucial for them to have any remaining exhibits so they could pursue charges against Arnold. They had to get him on their side. They don't understand why the police wouldn't be working together, but I suppose that is part of the problem.
That's a big part of like why, for example, Ted Bundy got away with it, because there were so many jurisdictions involved and nobody wants to work together.
Just fucking work together.
That's how a lot of serial killers in the 80s and early 90s got away with it.
Nobody wanted to work together.
Nobody wants to work together.
After some time, he admitted that he destroyed the exhibits on those dates and he also took some home. Finally, they had a glimmer of hope. He said that he was told to destroy the exhibits, but he could not specify who in particular gave him the instruction. He had kept other exhibits in his apartment since 1986. Almost an hour and a half after starting the interview, Ken retrieved a box from the trunk of his car. He told them that he kept the items out of curiosity and the possibility that he may entertain the notion of writing a book on the case. Shut up.
With all of your wrong information and ideas and how much you personally botched the case, go ahead, write that book.
Yeah, write that book. Investigators asked if he recalled destroying her bra, underwear, socks, shoes, and the Kleenex with mucus. I must have, he said. Some of the exhibits he turned over were as follows. A large Christmas card from Sofanow to his daughter Kim. Barb's wallet and assorted identification, a brown leather belt that Barb was wearing when she was murdered, and the warrant of committal for John Dirksen that they had been looking for and had no record of. So Johnny D, the Christmas tree guy.
Yeah, because he was brought into jail. Remember, he had a ticket and they arrested him for him just specifically to have him walk past Sofano and be like, that's the guy we're looking at.
Yeah.
So he could later be like, yeah, that's him. That's the guy. And they were tricky.
Wow.
I don't like that.
I don't like it either. Ken strongly suggested that there was pressure from the NDP. Okay. Pressure from the NDP? Come on now. The Crown and police to get rid of the case, possibly because of a lawsuit from Sofano. That's like saying there's pressure from the Green Party.
Yeah.
He also recalled that around the time of the appeal in 1986, Inspector Ken Dowson told him that they had the wrong guy. Andrew suddenly remembered an incident that would give that theory some merit. While reviewing the Crown's copies of the original police report months earlier, a disturbing observation was made. Every part of the report involving Arnold, be it an interview, tips made on him, tips he made on others, and any other mention of him, had all been taken out of sequence and attached to the back of the report. The crowns that were assigned to assist Rick Saul and the crowns they had assigned to assist the police. Their names were Rick Saul and Dale Schill. Those are the crowns. They had not done it. Like, they didn't rearrange the case.
No.
You. Yeah, you. Still haunting the same old fast fashion? Time to dig up something better with Back from the Dead Goods, a Canadian small business where forgotten threads get a second life and sustainability meets spooky. This isn't just upcycled clothing. It's resurrected fashion with an eerie edge. Handpicked, reworked, and revived, every piece is as unique as a ghost story whispered at midnight. And because you're a part of the Canadian Creepies family, you get an exclusive deal. Use code Canadian Creepies at checkout for 10% off. Find them lurking on Instagram, Etsy, and Poshmark. Links are in the episode description. Give your wardrobe a second chance at life, if you dare. Hey creeps, it's Valerie here, and if you're anything like us, you love capturing a moment, whether it's spooky, sweet, or somewhere delightfully in between. Let me introduce you to our go-to for stunning shots, darkroom photography based right here in the heart of the Niagara region. Mel, the brilliant eye behind the lens, is a lifestyle and creative photographer who brings a little bit of magic and maybe a touch of mystery to every session. She's got all her prices listed right on her website, super transparent, no tricks. And she runs killer seasonal specials around Mother's Day, Halloween, Christmas, and more. I'm telling you, her Halloween sessions, creepy perfection. So, if you're in the Niagara area and looking to capture memories that are hauntingly beautiful, hit up Mel at mel@darkroomphotography.ca or check out her work at www.darkroomphotography.ca. That's Darkroom Photography, where your memories come to life, even in the dark. Looking for your next obsession? The Creators Collective Podcasts is your gateway to the dark, the chilling, and the downright fascinating. We're a community of independent podcasts with one goal: to share the best in true crime, paranormal tales, folklore, and unexplained mysteries. Whether you crave cold cases that won't stay closed, haunted histories that refuse to be forgotten, or stories that make you sleep with the lights on, there's a show waiting for you in the collective. And when you join us, you're not just listening to one podcast. You're stepping into a world of creators who love this stuff as much as you do. Check out the Creators Collective today. Follow the link in our show notes to discover your next favorite podcast. We'll be waiting for you. Support reproductive justice in Niagara. Niagara Reproductive Justice is a grassroots collective based in the Niagara region of Ontario, working to increase visibility and access to sexual and reproductive health care. They support people seeking abortion and other essential care by offering transportation, financial assistance, logistical help, and emotional support. Here's how you can help. You can make a one-time donation. Send an e-transfer to niagarareproductivejustice@gmail.com. Your support helps cover costs like gas for volunteer drivers, overnight stays, childcare, and other urgent needs. You can also support monthly via Patreon. Join their Patreon and support the cause month to month. It's patreon.com/Niagara Reproductive Justice. And you can volunteer your time. NRJ is always looking for volunteers to help with driving, outreach, admin support, and community organizing. If you're looking to make a real impact in the Niagara region, this is a great place to start. Contact them via email or DM them on Instagram or Facebook to learn more. You can find them on Instagram at Niagara Reproductive Justice and on Facebook at Niagara Reproductive Justice. Help amplify access to reproductive care right here in our own backyard. Whether you donate, volunteer, or spread the word, you're a part of the movement. Did someone figure out who the real killer was? And then it all started to make sense. If the defense had Hazel Barton on their witness list in 1985, then someone in the Crown's office would have reviewed the file for any mention of Arnold. After all, she saw him in the donut shop on the day of the murder wearing a cowboy hat and cowboy boots bothering a waitress. In all likelihood, she was why every entry of his name was grouped together at the back. If this hypothesis is correct, then one must assume that someone figured it out and then did nothing.
That's bullshit. What the fuck?
All right.
That makes me even more mad.
You had the tally going.
You had the right guy the entire time. You knew.
Literally, you knew.
You knew. And you still tried to prosecute this other guy and not.
Man. And cost tax dollars millions.
For no reason.
For 3 cases.
When all you had to
judges
do.
And lawyers and things.
All you had to do was
check
go.
The fucking pond.
Sorry, I made a mistake.
That's all you had to say. And check the pond.
Check the motherfucking pond.
Although his actions were alarming, Ken was very cooperative and candidly honest. Well, yeah, he was like, what else do I do here? The storage and continuity of exhibits in the Winnipeg Police Service Storers Unit was not always as stringent as it is today. Now it was finally suggested that since there were still missing items, investigators should get a search warrant for Ken's apartment. Andrew couldn't believe what he was hearing. He originally had grounds, but after Ken turned over exhibits and told investigators he had no more, they believed him.
Are you kidding me?
Then they suggested that they contemplate charges of theft or other related offenses against him. I would hope so. Andrew told them that he was instructed not to charge him and caution him at their interview, and thus no charges could be laid. If the rights hadn't been read, all his comments were inadmissible.
It's 15 years later and you guys are still fucking up this colossally. Are you kidding me right now?
Like ginormously. The chief was an honorable man. There was no malicious intent to harm the efforts of their investigation, but Andrew certainly did not agree with these decisions. The errors that plagued the original investigation seemed to be repeated again. What they had here was a confession case. In fact, both Crowns, Saul and Shiel, agreed that they needed a confession so compelling that a judge would have to convict. Even some of the remaining exhibits were far from useful. Yeah. Early into the case, investigators took a blood sample from Muriel Stoppel. That's such a complicated... Muriel or Muriel? Muriel Stoppel. She had candidly recalled that she did not know whose pants Barb was wearing on the day of the murder. Now we're back to the pants. But they certainly were not hers. Apparently, Barb and her friends would constantly switch clothes. The sweater she wore was actually Lois Audley's, and the coat was Carol Browning's, which she had borrowed since the summer. When this information was relayed to the staff at the RCMP crime lab, they were not pleased. Everyone had presumed it was Barb's clothing. Meticulous hair and fiber analysis was conducted with that presumption. No one had asked. They just all assumed. This was indeed a damaged case, and to make matters worse, Arnold was pressing ahead with an appeal for his murder conviction of Christine Brown.
I hate him.
This fucking guy. On June 5th, it was time once again to be immersed in politics. At 2:30 p.m., Burchill and Andrew met at Police Chief Uwatsky... Burchill and Andrew met Police Chief Uwatsky at Rick Stoppel's house. Bess and Muriel were also there. Uwatsky read the press release that he would be giving the following day. He left shortly thereafter while Burchill and Andrew stayed. They had many unanswered questions. The release actually included the comment, "New evidence came to light that was not available at the time." As mentioned previously, the only way for this to be true would be if reading was suddenly invented in 1999. There was no new evidence. It was all there years and years ago, but no one bothered to read the fucking report. Uatsky had boasted earlier that Burchill had solved the case by using his supercomputer.
Are you kidding me?
I hate him. Bess asked Burchill if that was true, prompting him to respond that there was no supercomputer and he could have solved it with a box of crayons. He then candidly remarked that when he was given the file, he was instructed to make this go away. She then asked him how long it took to figure out that Safanow was innocent. About 15 minutes, he replied. As for Andrew, he jokingly remarked, "It took me 2 hours, but I'm a slow reader." When the press release was made public, the team assigned to the case shook their heads in disbelief. Highlighted at the end of the media release was the following sentence: "It is never too late to do the right thing."
You're still not doing the right things, though. Like, fucking arrest Ken for all of the shit that he stole.
Arrest Ken.
Like, you stole a victim's underwear.
Yeah.
Like, what is...
Honestly.
You stole the possible murderer's DNA. Like, that's not a chargeable... Are you kidding me?
For your potential book you might write?
That you haven't started writing in 15 years?
That you can't even read?
Are you kidding me?
And you're illiterate?
I mean, you didn't read the report, so...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
My word.
Some in the Winnipeg police services just didn't get it. There was resentment for what was uncovered. Okay, that's enough of that. One senior officer approached Andrew after the release of Safanow's innocent, came down and stated, even if Safanow wasn't guilty, jail looked good on him.
Oh, fuck off.
Honestly. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. He defended Safanow and all he had gone through, but that just didn't seem to matter. Tunnel vision was still alive and well. Oof.
I hate people.
I hate it.
I hate people.
I hate it.
So then we have the the interview of Joanne. On June 6th, Leggy and Andrew interviewed Joanne, who was a friend of Terry Arnold's, Terry's sister, Tracy Arnold, sorry. I was wondering why. I was I was confused about what I was reading.
Me too, because I also read Terry Arnold.
So Tracy Arnold, who was Terry's sister, prior to and after the murders, she remembered Arnold wearing a black toque and had pockmarked face and was not a good dresser.
Straight up.
I love how everybody just keeps insulting
Go
this
off,
guy.
Queen.
They then
Insult his style.
Right? They then showed her some photos of Arnold from the time period when she began to shake and would not make any comments. She continued to paint a similar picture of a disturbed man. He presented himself as an evil and in an evil and creepy manner, and had actually threatened her once when she refused to have sex with him.
I hate that.
Are you kidding me? He had pure hatred in his eyes,
I believe
she said.
it.
I believe so, too. I mean, what was his motto? If you can't fuck it, kill it.
Oh,
You're gross, Andrew. Or not Andrew, sorry. I'm reading the name Andrew. Terry.
Terry, you're gross.
Terry, you're disgusting.
Ew, Terry, you're gross.
Andrew then confided that they believed Arnold was responsible for Barb's murder. Oddly enough, she didn't seem surprised. I don't think anybody is surprised.
Anybody
at
who
this
knew
point.
this guy is surprised by that.
They're just like, yep, that tracks.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, she recalled immediately that Tracy told her he was a suspect in the murder because Terry was in the donut shop that night. This was another revelation in a series of missed witnesses and associates of Arnold. She even recalled him talking about the murder. Yeah, I was a suspect, but they could never prove it, and now this other guy is going to jail.
Ugh.
You're gross.
What a butthole.
She asked if he was the killer, and he said, "What do you think?" Dude. Although Joanne was very cooperative, there appeared to be an enormous amount of negative emotion associated with Arnold that she either could not or would not remember.
Yeah, she's blocking it out.
Yeah. The vast majority of the background investigation was complete, and they now turned to a more frontal attack on the offender.
Okay, here we go. Let's go.
Let's get to it.
We're getting details ironed out. We're crossing T's. We're dotting I's.
They had learned that Arnold might not have been staying in the Mission Institute much longer due to concerns for his safety.
Straight up. I hope he feels threatened
I don't
every day of
fucking
his
care.
life. Yeah.
Let him stay there.
See you later.
They also learned that writings photographs, and personal papers belonging to him were seized from the inmate newspaper's editor's office while he was the sole editor. Why are you giving him any responsibility? Just let him rot. Put him in solitary confinement and just leave him there for forever.
Right. That's right.
That's how I feel about you. The team decided that they should write another search warrant for Arnold's cell, his belongings, and the computer that he used for the prison newspaper. It was time to meet him again and get personal.
Hell yeah, it is.
So with the search warrant, it was armed with the information about his writings, photographs, and personal items that were in his possession in the Mission Institute.
So they're getting him from where he's locked up.
Mm-hmm. Andrew wrote another search warrant. He again speculated that he was the type of offender that may hide details of his crimes in writings or perhaps notes. Everyone was in favor, but there was pressure from them to have it sent to BC to be executed and have none of our team attend. Which, once again, they were cutting corners.
No!
They strongly recommended Sergeant Fogan that a team from their unit attend, since they knew what they were looking for and they were well versed in Arnold's crimes. They suggested that anyone looking back on the review investigation would see that at the cost of cutting moves, they would see this as like just another fuck up.
Yeah.
Further,
like another way to save money.
Yeah.
Yeah. A penny pinch.
Further, this case had already had its share of similar decisions. They had neglected to test the twine back in 1982 just to save them $100.
Hey, all right. They came in under budget that year. Pat yourselves on the back.
As I recall, they didn't need to come in under budget because they were stealing from people and murdering people and leaving them in burlap sacks. But, you know.
They had other priorities.
They had neglected to have someone sit down for a few hours and review the file in 1986, which saved them $40.
Hey.
Vogan concerned that
Vogan conceded.
Vogan conceded that they had made
the royal day
their decision and that they didn't want Arnold interviewed yet because they were waiting for the direction of the FBI analyst. Whatever.
Yeah.
Even being one of the lead investigators in this case, Andrew started to question who was actually in charge.
Who is it?
Yeah, because like even Ken was like, oh, someone told me but couldn't say who told him to. It seems like they're protecting someone.
Yes.
The team quickly learned that if they were going to steer this investigation properly, they needed to get the support from the Crown's attorney. They discussed the issue with Crown Dale Shill, sorry, thank you.
That's okay.
And he agreed with their concerns. From someone from the team should be involved in the execution of the warrant. I mean, yeah. They then relayed his opinion to Vogan, who in turn passed the information to Inspector McCaskill. Who then passed it on to...
Who may have passed it on to them.
Them.
Yes.
Them. If the powers that be could turn against the advice of our crown, who represented the province, public perception would be negative. Mm-hmm. Their tactic worked, and it was decided that Andrew would attend with Detective Sergeant Brown to conduct the search. They most certainly had every right to make those decisions, but they should also be held accountable. Mm-hmm. On July 5th, 2000, Brown and Andrew flew to Vancouver for the purpose of executing the search warrant. It seemed that even the simple act of planning a flight was void of logic. My word, they can't even get them a flight out there?
Nope.
Since the cost of the flight was coming out of another budget, arrangements were made for the cheapest fare.
Yeah.
And in doing so, they landed in Calgary, then Kelowna. I can never say that word, and I don't know why. My mouth just doesn't want to form that word. Before arriving in Vancouver, resulting in 6 hours of overtime for both of them. So even though they're trying to save money on the flights, they're still getting paid overtime. Like, your logic isn't logicking.
Yeah, that's right. Your math ain't mathing.
1 + 1 doesn't equal pancakes. And they still had to get to the prison even after the 6 hours of overtime. Arnold was placed in a segregation due to potential threats against him by other inmates. A month earlier, the media had exposed him as a possible serial killer. I mean...
had they?
They're not wrong.
Seems like it tracks.
They're not wrong. And they also identified him as the prime suspect in the murder of Barbara Stoppel.
Yes.
The threats had nothing to do with him being exposed as a murderer, rapist, or child sex offender. The prison subculture was more alarmed that he had let another man do his time.
Yeah, they don't like that.
They don't.
They don't like that.
They
gotta respect the time.
do not.
Yeah.
I know people who have been to prison, and that's like their biggest fear is being wrongfully accused, because like what happened in this case is very often what happens to a lot of people. Like you'll hear, we don't reopen cases. Like that is a big thing. And then the moment arrived. Arnold was brought within a few feet of the interview room. He was unkempt and weighed in at about 240 pounds, with now greasy hair, visible acne piercing through his faded white T-shirt, like small nipples. That's a great description, Christine.
Yeah. Could be Andrew the author as well.
Could be. Yes, true.
I think her thoughts are in different colors, so I think this is just Andrew's writing.
Realizing who they were, he cowardly turned around and ran back into his cell, which had already been locked.
What a loser.
They followed him, and Arnold became irritated, tugging at the door handle, desperately trying to get back in. This was the tough guy that had raped an 8-year-old over 100 times.
Ooh.
Fucking loser.
He's a loser.
Brown told him about the warrant, and he refused a copy. This cold-blooded killer was acting like a child. He was then escorted out of the area. Andrew searched his segregation locker and his cell, and although he made no seizures, he learned a little bit more about Arnold. To pass the time, he would write out the names of movies and make notes on who was starring in them. He was clearly bored.
Yes.
When the search was completed, he was then brought back to the hallway outside of his cell. He was informed that there was a copy of the warrant on his bed. Then, in a tone loud enough for all of those on the range to hear, Andrew said, "I left your watch on your table. It's not broken, but I did stop it at 8:20, the time you murdered Barb."
Wow.
Go off, King.
Okay.
The investigators then proceeded to seize his personal computer and hard drive, and the corrections service computer that he was using in the editor's office, and numerous photos and writings. Later in the afternoon, Arnold agreed to speak with them about the warrant. Finally. I guess you realized you had no choice.
Yeah. You have to.
It's a warrant.
They got you.
They met in an interview room off the segregation unit. Also present was correctional officer Duncan Palmer and Arnold Fitzgerald.
Aaron,
sorry.
That's okay.
Arnold entered the room with a pen and a notepad in hand and refused to take a list of seizures that investigators had made. He's just so defiant,
Yeah,
Like, just
no,
anything to cause them trouble. He demanded that a list be given to Palmer, who in turn should turn the list over to him because he wanted no contact with the Winnipeg police. You're a child.
Honestly.
Andrew told him that they were, in fact, germ-free, and gave the list to Palmer, who then in turn gave it to Arnold. Andrew then instructed him to grow up. He was trying to take control of the interview like he had done with the other officers in the past, and this wasn't going to happen. He reviewed the documents and appeared upset at the seizure of the computer. He also denied ever typing or using them, stating, "If there was stuff on there, it wasn't mine, and I erased it anyways." What an interesting choice of words.
Yes. Very interesting.
Brown read Arnold his rights, and he refused to be taped but was willing to talk. In fact, he didn't want the conversation to end. He desperately tried to find out what investigators knew. He continued with his scripted comments about not having a cowboy hat, never wearing a knife, and strangely not liking pistachios.
Okay.
I don't know what that has to do with anything, but okay.
Nothing.
Then they showed him a photocopy of a note that was found by Rick Stoppel at the bottom of a box in his mom's place. "I only sent flowers twice, and I remember both," he said defensively. He now volunteered that this was not around the time of the murder because his mother was not Barbie. Andrew then corrected him and said that the name Barbie at the time, she was named Barbie at the time, and that he should have known that since he had called in a false tip in the case using the name of Terry Barbie.
Mm-hmm.
This revelation prompted him to look confused and stare at the floor. Catching him in lies was oh so easy. They weren't ever supposed to interview him on this trip, but they just couldn't resist. He then mentioned that his mother, Reggie Davis, and his brother could prove that he wasn't there. It was time to play with him a little bit.
His brother is Reggie. Then his
it
mother,
says
Reggie Davies, who's...
Because the other woman was Donna's his biological mother.
Right.
So maybe this was like a foster mom or something.
Yep, keep going, yep.
So it was time to play with him, and Andrew said, "You have no alibi," with an air of confidence. "But I wasn't there," he replied, staring at the floor. "You got Jackie the waitress at the Salisbury house to lie for you, Terry. We know this. We flew to her in England, and she gave us a statement."
They flew her in from England.
Yes. Arnold appeared worried and confused, wanting to hear more. "Have you carefully read the warrant you were given?" Andrew asked. It reads that the warrant that I firmly believe you are... It reads in the warrant that I firmly believe you are responsible for the murder of Barbara Stoppel, and I have no doubt. This point is not up for debate. The reference to first-degree murder may have some flexibility because I don't know if you were intoxicated or how much thought you put into it. Arnold had no response and kept his head bent, staring at the floor. Suddenly, he looked up and said, "There's an issue of MO, which is modus operandi, which is a distinct pattern or method of operation, especially that indicates or suggests the work of a single criminal in more than one crime. There's no connection of MO between the murders I'm connected with and this one," Andrew quickly responded. "Actually, Terry, there are very well connected pathologically."
Actually, Terry, they're all very well connected psychologically.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
"And all involved acts of impulse rage consistent with you." We do know that he was impulsive.
And very angry all the time.
Very angry. Andrew opened the first page of the first notebook and placed it on the table open in front of them. It had a large photograph of Barb Stoppel taped to it. "This is the only person that's important to this room," he asserted. "Pretty girl," he replied quietly. "I hope you find your killer." And Andrew replied, "I have." Arnold now talked about Stoppel's family and how hard it must have been on them. He attempted to display empathy, an emotion that he was very void of. Andrew told him that her family was doing very well since they now had closure. Arnold looked at him, appearing confused. "I told them that I knew who murdered Barb. I told them that it's you."
Oof.
Arnold was not pleased. He clearly seemed to have an insatiable desire to learn what the crew or the team knew. Even though he still wanted to talk, they terminated the interview. In an effort to lure them in, he agreed to meet with them again. He also said that he was willing to give them a voluntary DNA blood and hair sample and take a polygraph test. They then teased him with the FBI that they may also want a sample regarding some cases in Florida. "If you want my DNA, I'll have a team of lawyers to stop it," he bellowed.
No, he won't. He doesn't have any money. He doesn't have any money.
Right? I like how he goes from, "I'll give you the DNA," to when it's going to be connected to more murders. He's like, no.
No way.
They seem to have exposed a nerve. What exactly had he done in the United States?
Fuck, and we'll never know.
Investigators arrived back at the lobby of the hotel and picked up an envelope that was waiting for Andrew at the front desk. It was the composite drawing of a possible suspect in the disappearance of Roberta Ferguson, which had been dropped off by the RCMP. Initially, investigators strongly suggested a resemblance to Arnold. Although Andrew believed that he should be considered a strong suspect in her murder and disappearance, he could not concur that he looked like the composite. Then again, his habitual tendency to change appearance may have been a factor in this.
Yeah.
Thinking back, here was a person that was functioning with the superior range of intelligence, yet he could be trapped with ease in any and all his deceits when confronted with facts. Andrew found him to be emotionally deficit, and he was going to get out, if he was going to get anything out of him in the future, a direct approach was not going to work. The reinvestigation team felt that they were on a bit of a positive roll. They had ended his jailhouse romance. They had entered into the private areas of his life. By obtaining the warrants to his cell, computer, and mother's trailer, he was beginning to feel that they were in control, and his appeal was still far in the future. He also realized that they had no doubt that he had murdered Barb. If they wanted a deal or even any chance of a confession, they needed to keep up the pressure relentlessly. Unfortunately, this was not going to happen.
It was not going to happen.
Dun, dun, dun.
I think I got time to do one more section here.
All right, let's get it.
How much there? Yeah, it's not a lot. Okay, the political baggage. The momentum that they had worked so hard to achieve was soon to be stalled by the upcoming public inquiry and all the political baggage that would accompany it. Brown, Allen, Legge, and Andrew stressed daily that a hard interview of Arnold needed to be done while he was still vulnerable. Their greatest fear was to have information regarding the destruction and disappearance of exhibits become public knowledge. Once exposed, he would have no reason to confess, and an interview would be futile. There was clearly a wow. Maybe I can't do this. There was clearly a necessity for the inquiry to formally address the shortcomings they had already dissected. There was an even larger urgency to have Arnold interviewed prior to the inquiry. The solution for the executive was to push for the inquiry to be put off, which made no sense to any of the reinvestigation team. As investigators in this case, they felt powerless to pursue the right course. Andrew had earlier spoken with FBI profiler Marie Dyson at the request of the executives. They wanted FBI agents to come to Winnipeg and assist on the case. On July 25, 2000, the reinvestigation team met with FBI profilers Marie Dyson and Jennifer Eakin in Winnipeg. Oh, in 2000, they sent 2 women. They were like, you go to Canada. Yeah. Off you go. I'm sure they were wonderful, talented agents, though. That's our gain. Their loss is our gain. Mm-hmm. Also present were members from the cold case unit from Calgary. In describing what a psychopath is like, they offered the following on the chalkboard. And it's spelled chameleon, but not spelled chameleon. C for cunning. A for actors. B for macho manipulator. L for low frustration level. E for egotistical. O for operator. And N for no guilt. At the end of the meeting, they made 4 recommendations that the team wholeheartedly agreed with weeks earlier. Number 1, repeat visits where Terry Arnold down. Number 2, go after all his victims, lay multiple charges. Mm-hmm. Number 3, Calgary has a stronger case, get a bite analysis completed. And number 4, Arnold should be interviewed by members who know him best. After flying these agents into Winnipeg, one would think that they would at least have been allowed to comply with the recommendations. Instead, they were forced to halt their pursuit and were instructed to follow up hundreds of 18-year-old tips. The tips that had been investigated, but the tips book, among other exhibits, were missing.
So how are they supposed to?
Exactly.
They're just putting them on a cat and mouse chase.
Exactly. We all know it's imperative to investigate all tips. Their case, however, was unique. The original investigation had been suffering from tunnel vision. What they were now being forced to take part in was what Andrew labeled tunnel vision.
Funnel vision.
Funnel vision. Thank you. They knew who the real killer was, but instead of pursuing him, they were made to focus on anything else. The handling and destruction of exhibits, lack of forensic evidence, lack of usable witnesses, and the passage of time had made this a confession case. Moreover, they needed a solid admission of guilt. The pursuit of arguably mindless tips not only could not be done thoroughly, but were useless in their pursuit of a charge.
Like, these assholes just can't say, hey, we got the wrong guy. This is the guy here.
Like, you know what? You guys seem to be on it. Just, run with it.
It's so frustrating that, just say you were wrong.
Yeah, honestly. And then help the people fix it who are helping you fix it.
Rectify your mistakes.
Numerous inter-office memos were sent to the police executive requesting...
Sorry.
Sorry, Arrow. Requesting a hard interview and the cessation of following up the tips. The memos were presented in a very logical manner, yet their concerns were seemingly ignored. After months of looking into prehistoric tips and photocopying documents for the inquiry, Andrew called Crown Rick Saul on October 11th, 2000. He indicated again that after reviewing the case, he believed there was not enough to charge Arnold due to the destruction and handling of exhibits. He also agreed that Arnold should be interviewed hard and soon, and that they should be prepared to make a deal. Vogan and Andrew had a meeting with Deputy Chief Thompson and Chief Jack Uwatsky. They provided them with an update on the tips and Rick Saul's Crown opinion that no charges could be laid due to handling of exhibits. They aren't going to wear this. We aren't going to wear this, Uwatsky replied. What exactly do they have to wear? They didn't lose a daughter or a sister. All they were wearing was the mistakes left by others, and the best way out was to be honest, like we've been saying. Mm-hmm. Andrew stressed that pursuing the tips would not lead them any closer to a charge. While everyone in the room agreed, it was decided that the tips would be followed up within reason. The team again noted the frustration and recommended that Arnold be interviewed sooner rather than later. It was like Groundhog Day, trying to make a point for the obvious and once again being turned down. Many more months would go by without an interview, much to their dismay. It was becoming apparent that the team was simply giving the appearance that they were working on the case.
Bullshit.
Bullshit. That's bullshit. Should we do Creep of the Week?
Let's do Creep of the Week.
Okay.
Tell me who the Creep of the Week is.
Okay, this week's Creep of the Week is... I'm sorry to do this to somebody's 19-year-old son, but this week's Creep of the Week is Xander Wright, because he is charged in the death of a crossing guard.
Oh.
Called Peter Clark, and was charged in 2025. This is from Christine. This is a Christine Creep of the Week.
I think last week was a Christine one too.
Totally.
Thanks, Christine.
Thank you, Christine. She's just running the podcast.
Right. We're just
figureheads.
We're just mouths for her information.
Right. That's right. So I will read this article about Xander Wright, the Creep of the Week. And that's Xander spelled X and Z. Stupid.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
One or the other, not both.
Xander.
The man accused in a fatal hit and run that killed a school crossing guard, whose name was Peter Clark, in Barrhaven, is also facing impaired driving charges.
That tracks.
From the year before.
Oh. Yeah, that still tracks.
Yeah. Xander Wright, 19, appeared before a judge in Ottawa, and he's charged with failing to stop after a fatal accident which claimed the life of crossing guard Peter Clark while he was on duty at the intersection of Cedarview Road and Kenville Drive. Court records obtained by CBC News show that in addition to Friday's court appearance in Ottawa, well, not this Friday. When was this article written? March 27th, so not that long ago. Court records obtained by CBC News show that in addition to the court appearance in Ottawa, Wright was also scheduled to appear in a Brockville court on the same day.
Oh, boy.
There, he's charged with impaired driving and having a blood alcohol level above the legal limit within 2 hours of ceasing to drive. Records show that incident occurred on County Road 7 about 15 kilometers southeast of Smith Falls. Wright could not attend that appearance because he's in custody, but his lawyer confirmed a trial date has now been set in that case. Ottawa police told CBC they believe a Toyota Tundra found parked in a driveway near the scene of Monday's fatal hit and run was involved in the collision. Not this past Monday, but from when the article was, yeah. Police officers were seen inspecting the vehicle on Tuesday in front of an address listed in court documents as Xander's. None of the allegations against Wright have been proven in court, and he had a bail hearing. But even if they haven't been proven in court, you're a Creep of the Week.
Creep of the Week. Maybe you shouldn't have a license.
He's sorry. I should say he's our alleged Creep of the Week.
No.
If our podcast were to have a creep of the week, he'd be allegedly.
It would maybe be him.
It would maybe be him.
Possibly.
Yeah. And that's it for this.
That's what we got for you.
That's it for Barbara Stoppel Part 5. We'll be back next week. I actually do think next week will be the last part.
We'll see.
But I don't promise anything.
Yeah.
I promise nothing.
It has been a very in-depth case.
And we've been on this road together for weeks now.
They just made so many mistakes.
Like, so many. And if you guys all love each other, all you cops, why don't you just talk to each other? If you guys are willing to have each other's backs without even knowing each other's first names, it's like work with each other.
I have no words.
Thank you.
That was my scoff at the ridiculousness of the lack of accountability and cooperation.
Yes.
My word.
So you can find Canadian Creepies on Instagram. You can find me on Instagram, Radio Valerie, TikTok, Radio Valerie, YouTube, Radio Valerie. You can leave us a voice note, speakpipe.com/Canadian Creepies. Would love to hear your spooky stories that way. And then I will put your voice on this podcast. Amanda's episodes come out Tuesdays here and Thursdays on her on Down the Crooked Path.
Yep.
And you can find her on Instagram and TikTok and
YouTube.
And YouTube as well.
Yep.
And Kyle is editing this episode and does all the editing, and Christine does all the researching.
Christine has a Instagram as well.
Yes.
Check her out.
And you can send her stuff. She has an email too. Christine, it's Canadian Creepies Researcher.
Yeah.
Canadian_Creepies_researcher at gmail.com. And you can talk to Christine directly if you want to.
Yeah, she does all of our deep dives. We'd probably be passing on that information to her anyways. So
yeah.
But we really do read everything. Oh, Val and Kyle.
We read it all.
Read everything.
We listen to it all.
Yes.
And we love you all. Take care of yourselves.
Creep you later.
And each other. Don't let the bed creeps bite. Don't do it.